When I first saw Earth from space, I wasn't thinking like a scientist, an astronaut, or a citizen of any one nation. I was simply human. Floating hundreds of kilometers above our home planet, I saw no borders, no wars, no religions, and no economic classes. Just a vibrant blue orb suspended in the black canvas of the cosmos. In that moment, Earth was not just a planet. It was a living being, a divine force, a mother, and a mirror to our collective identity. From up there, everything changed. The illusion of separation leadership often begins with the illusion of control, of power. On Earth, we live in systems defined by division, countries, classes, ideologies. But when I orbited above, those divisions disappeared. There were no dotted lines marking territories. No colors demarcating the privileged and the oppressed. I realized then that we have created complex constructs to manage ourselves, to make sense of our differences. Yet, the most powerful truth was this: we are one species on one planet. A real leader must internalize this unity. Because only when we see humanity as a whole can we lead with empathy, vision, and responsibility. The Earth as a living entity looking down on Earth, I didn't just see land and water. I saw movement, life, energy. Storms brewing over oceans, lights of cities pulsing like neural networks, forests breathing. Earth wasn't a resource to be exploited, it was a conscious ecosystem. Every river was a vein, every mountain a spine, every cloud a breath. True leadership means protecting this entity, not mastering it. It means shifting from a mindset of exploitation to stewardship. Leadership isn't about what Earth can do for us, but what we can do for Earth and all life on it. The silent customer society. One of the greatest lessons I learned floating in that silence was this: the people we lead are not just data points, votes, or market segments. They are the silent customers of our decisions. In business, the customer is king. In leadership, the citizen is sacred. Every child in a remote village, every worker in a crowded factory, every elder in a forgotten town, they are the true recipients of leadership. From space, there is no elite. There is no low-income bracket. Everyone is simply human. And leadership, at its core, is human service. The mirror effect. Earth from space is also a mirror. A mirror that reflects back the intentions, values, and results of our actions. Deforestation becomes visible. Pollution forms patterns in the atmosphere. Cities glow with life, but also with excess. The Earth records everything silently. This mirror taught me that leadership leaves footprints. Not just in policy or profit, but in how we treat our only home and each other. The fragility of power. From orbit, Earth looks both eternal and vulnerable. A delicate bubble of life surrounded by lifeless space. All our conflicts, empire, revolutions, ambitions, they're tiny threads in this vast expanse. Leadership based on ego, dominance, or short-term gains is like building castles on clouds. Up here, it's clear, only sustainable, compassionate, and inclusive leadership survives the test of time. The role of the observer. As an astronaut, I was an observer. I wasn't altering the planet, I was witnessing it. And that role made me realize, the best leaders are not always the loudest or the most visible. They are the ones who observe deeply before acting. Observation breeds understanding. Understanding breeds empathy. And empathy breeds solutions that last. Society's status hierarchies down there, on Earth, status defines everything. Your income, your title, your education. But up here, status is irrelevant. The spacesuit makes us equal. The mission makes us one. Whether you're a commander or a flight engineer, everyone's breath depends on the same oxygen tank. This is the truth about society. We have mistaken titles for character, wealth for wisdom, popularity for purpose. True leadership does not emerge from status. It emerges from service. Ego to echo. In space, ego dissolves. There is no room for arrogance when one system failure can cost lives. You begin to live in harmony with your team, your machine, your mission. This transformation, from ego to echo, is essential for leaders. Leadership must become an echo of the needs of the people, the echo of nature's balance, the echo of future generations calling us to act with integrity today. Coming home changed. When I returned to Earth, I was not the same. My leadership philosophy had shifted. I no longer cared about applause. I cared about impact. I began to speak less and listen more. I started asking different questions. Are we building systems that include everyone? Are we leaving the planet better than we found it? Are we honoring the dignity of all, not just the privileged few? Earth is God, I say this without hesitation. Earth is divine. Not in a mythical way, but in a practical, spiritual truth. Everything we have, everything we are, comes from this blue miracle. It gives unconditionally air, food, water, beauty. To lead in service of earth is to practice reverence. It is to bow down not just in temples, but in forests, rivers, and cities. The astronaut's leadership code. If I could inscribe leadership principles into the stars, they would read, lead with humility. The higher you go, the smaller you feel. Let that guide your choices. Lead with empathy, every face has a story. Know it. Lead for all, not just for your group, party, or class, but for the species, the planet. Lead with vision, short-term thinking is a privilege we can no longer afford. Lead with reverence, treat Earth as sacred. Because it is. The cosmic responsibility. As I stared longer at Earth from the quiet darkness of space, I felt something deeper awaken within me, a realization that we, the ones who reach the stars, also inherit a sacred responsibility. Not to conquer, but to connect. Not to dominate, but to devote. Leadership, at this level, is not about command. It's about care, about seeing yourself as a bridge between the heavens and the human condition. The further we go, the deeper our duty becomes to those we leave behind. I realized that each advancement we make in technology, in space exploration, or in science, must come with an equal evolution in ethics, empathy, and equity. The greater our reach, the greater our responsibility. Listening to the earth. Have you ever listened to silence? The true, utter silence of space? It's humbling. In that stillness, I began to hear something I never expected, Earth calling. Not in words, but in vibrations, in emotions. It was as if the Earth was whispering, look how beautiful I am. Please protect me. From orbit, you can see the scars we've left, burnt forests, choked rivers, barren lands. But you also see resilience, the blooming of green patches, the shimmer of coral reefs still alive, the steady breathing of clouds over mountains. Leadership must listen to this voice. Not only to people, but to the planet. Not only to problems, but to potential. Future generations looking back, sometimes I wonder, when future generations look back at us, what will they see? Will they remember us as the generation that looked the other way when inequality rose and the planet burned? Or as the people who turned around just in time, who changed the story? A leader always acts with the seventh generation in mind. What we plant today, they will harvest tomorrow. Every law, every product, every classroom and every forest must be seen through the eyes of those yet to be born. I want them to know that someone was watching from above, and saw Earth for what it truly is, not just a home, but a sacred legacy. Becoming a planetary citizen. We often identify ourselves by nationality, race, religion, language. But in space, you are none of these. You are a human, a child of Earth, a planetary citizen. And what does that mean? It means understanding that your actions ripple across borders. That your footprint matters. That your silence in the face of injustice is just as loud as your speech. Planetary citizenship is the highest form of leadership. It asks us to rise above partisan interests and speak the language of unity. Imagine if every leader on Earth saw themselves first as a planetary guardian. Wars would lessen, resources would be shared, climate would be protected, and perhaps, the stars would smile back at us. The return journey re-entry into Earth's atmosphere is violent. The heat, the shaking, the friction. It tears through the spacecraft with fury. And yet, through all of that, you hold one truth close. You are going home, the same way a true leader must go through discomfort, resistance, pressure, to bring something new back to the people. When I stepped out and felt gravity again, I also felt grounded. Not just by Earth's pull, but by its call. To be better, to serve deeper, to never unsee what I saw from up there. The view that changed everything. They say space changes people. And it does. But not because of distance, or science, or fame. Because in space, you finally understand the smallness of power and the vastness of purpose. Because in space, you stop seeing nations and start seeing nature. Because in space, you stop being a leader of men, and start becoming a servant of life. So if you ask me what leadership really is, after floating above the earth and staring into the eternal, I'll tell you this. Leadership is the courage to care. Leadership is the wisdom to wait. Leadership is the heart to heal. Leadership is remembering that Earth, in all her blue and green glory, is not just where we live. She is who we are. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us grow and bring more meaningful content your way. Drop a comment below, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.